So I'll be on my best behavior and not swear as I like to as we go through. We got some sensitive ears here. So here we are. This is our third informational call, believe it or not, guys. So more people are definitely interested now as Hawaii keeps rolling through and affecting more of us owners. I've canceled many trips. The airlines are tired of hearing from me. Obviously, I'm not in Maui right now. I'm like you guys. So joining us on the call, of course, is Carrie Meyer and Renee Payne. They're part of our management team here too, so they might chime in with information. But here we go. So for those of you who've been on the call before, some of these slides are familiar. But here's the pool. You can see here that we've really reduced the pool chairs. These are our brand new pool chairs. Most of them are stacked up to help with social distancing or physical distancing. Frankly, there's not a lot of people at the pool. We just this month have gotten a bunch of inter-island people from Oahu or other parts of Maui that have traveled over there. So it's starting to fill up. But basically, not that many people. And this is sunset when you can see just one couple out here and nobody on the beach. This was just taken last month. So it's pretty crazy. But the pool is open. Many properties, the pools are closed. Interesting to see. So we'll go through, here's the kind of the layout of today. You know, the, if I can move this out of the way here. There you go. We'll go through what the state of Hawaii is doing, what the AOAO, that's the 225 condos, the full ownership. We're only 43 of the total, right? So we're only 20% of the property. And then with the Maui Sunset and Maui Kai timeshares here at the Sunset, what we're experiencing, what we're going to be doing, options, owners, resources, that kind of stuff. Going forward here. We'll go to the next slide. So just a day or so ago, the governor put out another proclamation, a kind of a announcement, first at a press conference on a Sunday afternoon, which was fantastic, that they're pushing the pre-travel test option all the way through August now. So we were very hopeful. This pre-travel testing option was talked about all the way back in early June, and very disappointed that they pushed it to September. So any of you on the call right now that have timeshares in July, August, you can go, you can use your unit, but you would be locked in your condo for 2 weeks. You could not leave. And so far, no timeshare owners have taken that option. And you can see why. It's just, you would not be able to leave at all. So vacation rentals are also affected, and we'll kind of go through that. A lot of you want us to rent out, but anybody that's there you are. Anybody that is under quarantine is not allowed to vacation rental or stay at a condo. So we're on Kama Aina, our local traffic there. So that's kind of the situation.
I can jump in while Steve is having trouble here. So basically, we can't rent to anybody that is forced to quarantine per state of Hawaii. Is Steve back?
I'm back. Okay. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Renee. So we've got that question from owners, timeshare owners. Hey, can I rent my unit? Here's the problem. If you rent your unit out and they catch you, which they will, you could face a year in jail or a $5,000 fine. That's pretty severe. So we are talking with the first time we've gotten political, but talking with the mayor, the lieutenant governor's office, um, folks like them, and they're basically saying, even though we have a front desk, even though we have professional management, even though we've been a condotel basically for 40 years, uh, they won't let us do it. So that's really frustrating. And we're apartment zoned technically. So there you go. Um, so a lot of you have asked also about what is the current cases in Maui, and this is why they see this uptick here lately, and why they push the push the testing out. There's a lot more testing, but on Oahu, we're seeing more COVID cases. Maui has only had 10 new cases, and those are flying in from Oahu, most of them, since June, over the last month, and thankfully no deaths on the island lately. I mean, there were a couple. So Maui's looking really good. Your chances of getting COVID over there are really, really, really low. So this is what's killing us. The pink is last year, the blue is this year. So we're cruising along. March 23rd, all the Canadians had to go home. Boom, nothing. So we've been flatlined. There's been about 30 people a day arriving in Maui, and it used to be 7,000. So that's huge. And there's the link down here if you feel like looking at the depressing statistics. There. All right. So the AOAO, which I am on the board now for the Association of Apartment Owners at Maui Sunset, we had our first virtual meeting ever in May, which was interesting, but it worked. And now we have one in August. I was planning to be in Maui, but will not be. So that's August 14th. Some just quick highlights. The county of Maui wanted to put that reclaimed water on our grounds in the courtyard. That's the stuff they use out in the park. So basically your gray water and stuff, they would process it. And they want to put it out, get rid of it. We fought that and avoided a lawsuit, which was good, but we compromised to irrigate just the parking lots. So the parking lots of Maui Sunset will be irrigated with that R1 water. It's a huge expense, but it was a lot less than doing our courtyard. And so the courtyard's still being watered by our well water, which is safe, doesn't have any chemicals or hard metals in it. And that's what we wanted. So that's a big win, huge win. All that work is being done in the courtyard now, and you won't be affected by it because you're not there. 2020 budget, the AOAO they basically took the dues, and their 7% increase last year, they've dropped back down to 2019 levels, which is good. So some of our timeshare fees have gone down a little bit. Some staff is still furloughed. We've got the activity desk is closed completely, so that's $70,000 a year we no longer have. Planned maintenance and stuff is going forward. There's some major maintenance things safety wise, our fire systems that were needing to be done very, very quickly. So that's being done this week. Some fire hoses were not actually working, and that's scary. So we are doing that. The pool closure for September. So if we are able to go September 1st, there's no pool closure. Hooray. That's great. Fantastic news. Occupancy overall is still really low, and that's been helped. Timeshare occupancy is also very low, although we've had some RCI arrivals lately, and I'll show you that in a second. And the pool reopened. If any timeshare owners, I know a lot of you are smart folks. We're looking for another option for the activity desk. it really hasn't been refurbished for its original cabinetry. It's old. So anybody has ideas of different kind of vendors to go in there besides an activity desk or in addition, I know I have lots of ideas, but or if anybody knows of anybody that on the island that you think might want to sign up and have that space, it's an amazing space for for business, but something to help with guests. Uh, we even thought of a small little somebody vendor selling food or water or drinks, that kind of thing. Um, but we'll see. Um, okay, let's move on here. COVID precautions. So when we're finally able to get back to Maui in September, what are you going to see? Even though the cases are low, we're still able to physical distance. So there's just one barbecue, elevator signage. The gym's closed because we can't do much with that area. And again, I also mentioned about timeshare owners being able to go, but you must quarantine for 14 days in your room right now. And there will also be a travel form online that you'll need to fill out. All right, so here at the with the timeshare, I'm on the timeshare board as well. And then as far as management, we've been really busy. It's a lot of projects being done. All of the A building windows should be done by this week. I think A419 was the last one. And then we're moving over to the B side. You'll see a picture here of what we're doing. So that's exciting. That was a huge project for reserves, and he's not going as fast as we'd like, but he's getting it done. It's quiet, better for AC usage and energy conservation, and it just looks better because we're removing the drapes as well. The countertops have all been polished. That came in under budget by half. The tubs and showers were looking really dingy and old. They just got that Maui sand and dirt in them, and they look great now. And then we're finding a whole bunch of other problems, termites, things that we need to fix, and we're doing that. So the property is going to look really good. One thing I don't show in here is we're going away from the for our COVID response from a what you usually see as those bed covers. Most people, when the bed covers, we're finding them, they're on the floor or shoved in the closet, and they don't get washed as much as we'd like. So we're going to go with a test. It's going to cost a little bit more per clean. We're doing actually what's called triple sheeting. So you have a bottom sheet, you have a top sheet, you have your blanket, and then you have another sheet on top. Looks more like a hotel. And that sheet gets changed and cleaned every single time, which I think will make it look great and more modern in the unit. We'll be adding a sash on the bottom for you can put your feet up or something, because we are always worried about bed bugs and other critters over there. So, and just a side note, if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or so we can see what any questions that come up. All right. We've talked about this the last couple of calls, but just real quick, we have a new housekeeping crew. We put out the cleaning contract to bid. Luckily, in January, we were able to meet 3 different cleaning companies, including the FSG Services that was run by Cheryl Kalani. We decided to go with Richard and Rima of Onagan Cleaning. That's Rima's last name, and they are fantastic. So this is what they do when they come and clean the unit. This is probably a deep clean because they're moving the fridge, but they have 4 to 5 people every clean. Completely different way of doing it. They do a great job. Nowadays they're wearing masks, but you'll also notice they're matching Hawaiian shirts. So they work really well together. And the few people we've had still on island and in the condos have had lots of good things to say. So we're excited about that. We also have just put in all new, it's a huge linen order, new sheets, towels, things like that. That was already pre-planned. That they stocked all the inventory, but that's been a complaint as well. Let's see here. Okay, so this is getting adding on and on. It used to just be April people affected. Now we got May and June and July and August. So we got a huge amount of timeshare owners affected by this COVID situation and not being able to travel. The timeshare board meeting is next month. This is a tied topic of it, finding out what our finances are as an ownership group. Most, like we've talked about before, most of our expenses are fixed. We talked to the county of Maui, and there's no break on property taxes. We get charged twice as much as my units that are rental units as a timeshare. So, $9,000-$10,000 a year versus $5,000 or $6,000 for a one bedroom. We got no relief from the county on that. No delay. Well, they've offered a delay of 2 months, but with a interest payment. So anyway, we're looking to any savings from this vacancy. Our proposal, American Resort Marketing, our management, we're proposing that we should have even with all the deep cleans, a big drop in housekeeping on our budget line item. So we're saying at least 2 maid services as a credit in January. But it could be more. We're also looking at if the costs have come down quite a bit, to adjust the budget overall for everybody by a percentage if the costs have come down. Frankly, a lot of that has to do with are people making their maintenance fee payments. So if a lot of people don't pay their maintenance fees, it's up to us, the rest of us that are paying our dues. We have to come up with those funds. Because we're a nonprofit timeshare association. Well, the timeshare is a nonprofit, so it's a zero budget every year. There's no profit built in. It's all zero budget. We are the lottery idea is still valid, and we're going to do it. Crossing our fingers they don't extend this quarantine or this travel restriction through September. They'll be running that lottery here next week, the 24th of July, because we have to give everybody in August that same opportunity. So if you want to be considered for the lottery, let us know. That'd be 1 week in September 17th through 24th, which is typically our maintenance period. If you want a credit on your dues, you don't have to do anything. We're going to do that anyway. As long as you haven't banked it with RCI, as long as you haven't used it, then you get the credit on there. Again, the timeshare meeting was next month. Please send any comments or questions you want at the meeting ahead of time. That'd be great. Real quick, here's the occupancy. You can see 90%. This is just for timeshare. March usually is 90. It went down for the last week, and then really low here, 10%. So we're looking. August just hasn't canceled yet, but it'll drop a bunch. We jumped up to about 20% in July, simply because we're 27%. Because a lot of people banked with RCI. We've also we're marketing for vacation rentals, not vacation rentals, sorry. We're marketing to workers on the island, exempt workers, and trying to get them accommodations because they don't want to stay at a hotel as options for those that want us to rent out the time. Okay, so I'm going to move on here. Here's your outlook for usage. I think everybody can agree that in this day and age, and we all love our condos, that's going to be really big. I mean, vacation rentals and timeshare with the condominium has been on the rise lately. but even before this, and now it's going to skyrocket. There's a ton of people that would rather stay in their own place versus having to mingle at a hotel or that type of resort. So we feel pretty confident for into 2021 as travel comes back. Um, Hawaii is also, they were very, very quick on this. So versus even, I hate to say it, even Florida or California, Hawaii is going to be a place people would like to travel, even with the pre-travel test. And I'll talk about that in a second. Um, oh, sorry, audio problems. Okay. I I didn't talk about when the quarantine will be lifted. That is the question. Someone just said. We don't know. Quarantine is in effect indefinitely. That is the bottom line right now. Um, so I think I'm going to talk about the pre-travel test here. I'm going to go to my. Bear with me as I do this. I'm going to find my. Okay. Can you all see? Hopefully, you can see this. Nod your head if you see my the website. Go Hawaii is a great spot. You click on their full details. They've updated it pretty quickly. If you really want to drill down on what they're doing, this is where I go, and then there's a lot of things. One thing to see is this the testing. What kind of testing is this? So before it's called a PCR test, and then they changed it to an NAAT test. Well, folks, guess what? The NAAT test is the same thing as a PCR test. So it's the PCR test is a type of NAAT test. So any COVID testing place you go to will be that one if it's a lab. Testing at like your doctor's office is taking anywhere from 24 hours to a week, but we found a couple of labs here, especially in the Northwest. If you pay for the lab test, it's been $99. You they'll get it turned around in 24 to 48 hours, guaranteed. So there are testing places coming online. Um, they they are available, especially if you're willing to pay the money for it. So that's coming out. It's frustrating, but that is what's happening. Um, they are, if you'll notice, they have updated it, and they are going to test everybody of all ages. So even kids and babies, they want tested. So we are seeing, I think the last part of this year and first part of 2020 will be not as many families traveling, but I could be wrong with the whole school being online as well. Would like to show you guys, there's a Facebook page now for Maui Sunset. Oh, look, Michael Thould, he posted there. Thank you, bud. So we try to update some great information on this. It's a private group. So if you want to join, you have to just put down your unit number, who you are, and that you agree to the rules. Rules are pretty easy. Be nice, pretty much. This isn't for yelling at each other. It's building community. But we'll be putting a lot of information on that. So that's for owners of whole units and for timeshare owners. We also have a Facebook page for just the Maui Sunset that's more front for travelers. It's more sugar coated. It doesn't have all the negative news on there as well. Wanted to show you the RCI site again. Still a good option. They are taking weeks. They're giving pretty good credit. It's not as inexpensive as it used to, but if you're not able to travel to Hawaii, this is one of the few places that you can get some sort of credit for future. Their exchange fees are like $230 a week, though. Not cheap. But if you were looking for more of a drive-to destination, if you own in August or September, and we're anytime this year you want to bank it. And then we also have the timeshare website, which we are updating. Again, being a nonprofit homeowners association, and we don't have a lot of marketing money. In fact, this is a free site that we're using, but we'll be posting information about today's call, for example, the dues, what's due. You can pay online by clicking this. There's a small fee for a debit card or a bank, and 3% for credit card. Again, timeshare doesn't get that. A lot of other information there, and you'll get other information there too. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to where we were. Okay, so a lot of those sites are there. So question time here. Or Renee and Carrie, did you have anything to say? I kind of blew through everything here.
I should say Interval International is another trading company. However, they are not accepting weeks for July and August during the quarantine. So RCI is, and Trading Places are the only trading companies available at this time.
Okay, so I'm going to go through some of the questions here from Don and Reg. Yes, the 14-day quarantine is in effect for timeshare owners. What they're doing is there are the grocery delivery services. I think Maui Grocery is delivering, and food, like Uber Eats and stuff is doing that, but you can get stocked ahead of time. If you decide to go and there's a quarantine in effect, like let's say you want to go in August here and do a 2-week and then rent 2 more weeks. We got great deals on rentals, everybody. You can stay a month. The first 2 weeks you wouldn't be able to leave. We would not do a maid service for you either during that time, just for the safety of the crew over there. So that is an option. Someone asked about how many people banked with RCI. I can tell you that here. Just a second. I think, unless Renee or Carrie know off the top of their head.
It varies week to week, but we've had at least 5 per week, sometimes up to 10. So there are a lot of owners that have chosen to give their weeks to RCI.
So that's there's 43 units, timeshare units. So if there's 10, that's 20% or more. People have been doing that. Okay, Bonnie Miller asked about hotel tax, part of our fee. Yeah, so we get charged a transient tax, right? We are keeping track of vacancies and reporting to the state in an attempt to get a refund. So that will affect our budgeting too. So that's part of it. It's not as straightforward as just saying, hey, we didn't get it, because the way they bill it based on our maintenance fees on how they charge it. But I do an occupancy report every month telling them exactly which units have been occupied. So that will help. Okay. Somebody had a question about the Branston's asked about the test. Yes, they're saying 72 hours, 3 days before flight time. Some folks in Hawaii want it to be 48 hours. Others are saying more practical is 5 to 7. Politically, I think they're between a rock and a hard place. They said 72. My personal opinion is, don't make your flight out on a Monday. Do it on a Wednesday. Luckily, our timeshares start Thursday this year, so you can come out on a Thursday, get your test on a, what is that, Tuesday or whatever that is, and get the result. At least by the time you arrive in Maui or Hawaii, you want to have that email with the test result. If you don't have the test result, you have to do quarantine in a hotel. Timeshare owners, you could go to your condo and be. So let's say worst case, it was a week. And you got it done 2 days before you traveled, so you could be in quarantine for a few days in your condo before getting your test result. Uh, Ken Delfield said, "How will you announce the lottery winner?" So yeah, we're gonna do the lottery, and then we will contact everybody. Either we'll probably just post it on the website, but we'll probably contact everybody directly and ask them, "Do you still want it? You know, what are your plans?" And then if they don't want it, we'll go to the next people. We have 56 weeks available, but right now we have about the same amount of people wanting to be in the lottery. So not everybody can go in September. Terry Jackson asked, what is required to prove you had a negative test? Yeah, so they are still, that was the big complaint with Hawaii. They weren't giving us any guidelines. From what I understand and from what I've read, an email, but preferably a printout of something online that shows the lab, the type of test, and the result is what you need, you know, to show that you've taken that test. Good question from Judy Ramsire. What happens if you get the test, you don't have the result, and quarantine, and you get the result and it's positive? Well, in that case, if it's positive, you're stuck. They're not going to let you back on the plane to go home. So you got to stay in quarantine till you're done. That is a risk. So definitely, you know, if you get tested positive, for your safety and for everybody else's, you're going to want to be quarantined. I would not suggest being positive in Hawaii in quarantine. I would be home. You want to make sure you're home before you go. So feel free to I think that's pretty much all I had. If anybody else has any questions.
Steve?
Yes.
Are you saying yes to me? You mentioned an
Yes.
online form. Now, there's always been a State of Hawaii form online. Is this an additional Maui Sunset front desk online form?
No, in fact, we won't have a form. The form that they have now is from the health department, and you have to fill out that form saying, you know, answering questions which seem obvious, but do you have a fever? Have you been exposed with someone with corona? Do you agree to quarantine yourself if you are positive? Things like that. And you know, where you're going, where you're staying.
Okay.
Somebody did, Debbie Green asked, yes, if you get a pre-travel test and you're negative, you do not have to quarantine, and that option is not available until September 1st. Any other questions I can answer? Yeah, so we asked this. So that's the common concern people have is, you know, what about people get on the plane and they don't have their test result? That's what they're trying to work out. You can either, there's two ways to come to Maui right now as well for September 1st. Is you either travel with a quarantine or you take that test and you have it negative. So sure, someone could take a test, they don't have the result yet, they get on the plane, they could be positive. That could happen. Can I tell you that's no one, there's not many people doing that. We've had virtually nobody taking advantage of the quarantine option, and I would doubt somebody would want to take that chance. The numbers are really low to do that. Also with the flights, you're seeing a you're more likely to get exposed from the coronavirus and the TSA lines in the bathrooms on the plane. They have all those scrubbers, and you're not, you're all masked up, and there's no food services, stuff like that. So I think you're probably better off. Before this happened, just so you know, in March when we had the big the first surge, right, the first thing going on, most of the corona spread wasn't from travelers, was not from visitors. It was from residents returning or traveling and then coming home. And from what I've talked to, they said, frankly, most travelers, if they had flu symptoms, they weren't traveling. You were only traveling when you were healthy, but residents coming home might be more likely to get on a plane even when they're sick. So I'm not trying to downplay it, but I think we're on a good trajectory. So going forward, you're going to see. I definitely think this pre-travel test is going to be in place at least till through 2020. See how it goes, and then if the rest of the country gets a handle on it for 2021, they might lift this quarantine. But the pre-travel test might be in place for a while, which make everybody feel good getting on the plane. And I can see them saying you can't get on the plane unless you have a test as well. Might be an option. I guess somebody put a question on the board. I don't know how they did that. That's cool. Yeah. The lottery's for 1 week, unless we have extra weeks. I don't know how you did that. That's crazy. Proof of a negative test. No, you don't have to have proof going around, as far as what I understand. I do know you need to have proof to rent a rental car, and there might be some other places like that. But once you get there, you should be good. So just a couple of housekeeping things, and then we'll close up the meeting here. Again, the next meeting is for the board meeting here is August 7th. The next newsletter will be out shortly, probably later in August. We'll be emailing that as well, posting it on the site, and mailing it out as well to everybody. Voting, since you're all here, you're all participating. We have an annual meeting coming up in January. There's going to be a few things on the ballot for vote. I'm on the board for now, but there is a question, since most of the board has been off island for 6 months. Who knows if I'll still be on the board? We'll see. And so we could all use your support in voting. Lastly, here too, everybody, all your timeshare owners have been great. It's so nice to see you faces on these calls. So love that. And hopefully we'll get some more get-togethers, either on property or kind of local areas. We've been talking about, once this is over, doing a kind of a local gathering, whether you're in Washington or California. Those kind of things might be kind of fun, or at least a social when we're on island, which will be a big party. Somebody did ask what's open now. So restaurants are allowed to be open. They are not opening, and many are permanently closing. It's real sad. They can open, but there's nobody going to restaurants. There's no tourists to support these businesses, and retail space is pretty expensive. So there will be some closings, and then kind of some changes as you look next time you get to Maui. So we will be doing another call next month, probably around this time, August. Sorry, I'm looking at my calendar. Probably August 18th or 19th, and I feel like it's helpful for folks for us all to get a kind of an idea of what's going on. Hopefully that by that date we'll have some real great news that we're opening back up again. If anybody wants to get to Maui end of this year, especially, we are offering some really low rates right now online for a week. It's half off, so I think it's about $1,000 with tax. For timeshare owners, it's even less. It's just a little bit more than your maintenance fees if you guys want extra weeks, and doing some options there. But hopefully we get some good news and we'll be able to reopen here on September 1st. So any other questions, last minute questions here? We're just about to
Steve, I'm gonna jump in real quick. We always assume that you are going to use your unit during your time. That has changed during this time period. So we're assuming that no one's traveling unless you tell us otherwise. So don't just show up. We want to make sure your room is ready if you do show up. So we are assuming that you are not traveling unless you tell us during this time.
That's great.
That during this time, that's up to September 1st, or is that this year?
September 1st. Through September 1st, yeah.
All right. Well, you all look wonderful. You need a little bit. All of you need a little bit more sun. So hopefully we'll get you there to Maui soon. If you have any questions, Renee, Carrie, and I are always here. The board for the timeshare, they are also available. But our phones are open. We're doing our best to respond to everybody. Have a great day, and aloha.
Aloha, stay safe.
Hi,
Aloha,
y'all.
yes. Stay healthy.
Stay healthy and fly to Maui.
That's right.
Okay, we're leaving.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.
Mahalo and aloha, Steve. Thanks.
You got it. Take care.